If you're a nurse practitioner and you've built this amazing career, you help people, you care for people, you help manage their health care, and you're proud, you're exemplary proud of what you do and who you are. But you also, at the same time, have this sinking feeling in your heart that your career has become a cage, that you're stuck in a place that you never meant to trap yourself in. And if you feel this way, then this episode is for you. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Nicole. I am a rheumatology nurse practitioner, and I help other nurse practitioners find happiness in healthcare and meaningfully connect to their patients in 60 seconds or less. And, as nurse practitioners, you've built this amazing career. You really have. You've sacrificed so much of your life in RN and NP school, in your education, sleepless nights, studying in the dark, memorizing medications and diseases and treatments. And every clinical rotation, you're stressed. You're rapidly writing notes that you can stuff into your white coat pocket or your scrub pocket. And trying to fit all of the information into your brain, just trying to cram everything in. And after you've passed boards, you got your license, you realize that school was just the beginning. It was just preparing you to pass boards, but not for the emotional reality of practice. And now you've cultivated this practice where you can see patients in 20 minutes or less. You can assess them, get through your good old cards, your history, your physical exam, come up with differentials right on the spot. And you already know what to order, what tests to order for them to do. And you've built something magical. You've become this asset that you can go into medical decision mode immediately, and then faster than the average person can even comprehend. You are this amazing asset. But you've become this nurse practitioner where the past you only dreamed of becoming. You've become this future version of yourself that you've always dreamt of becoming. However, and maybe you've been doing this for a year or two, 5 years, maybe a decade, maybe 2 decades, maybe even longer than that. And you no longer feel the butterflies in your stomach when you go into an exam room to see a patient. You no longer get the sweaty hands feel, kind of the nauseous feeling in your stomach like you're going to throw up. And somewhere along your journey, somewhere along the way, the dream that you chased became a box that you feel trapped in. And maybe you feel disconnected with your career, or dare I even say, even a little bored with your career. It sounds terrible, so terrible that maybe you have never said this out loud to anyone or even yourself, but you resonate with what I'm saying. All you see in your work is the quality metrics that your health organization measures you against. The word productivity no longer even thrills you. It doesn't inspire you to stretch beyond your comfort zone, but now it just puts this sense of dread in the pit of your stomach that your work is measuring you in numbers, how many patients you see, how quickly you see them, what are you billing, all these things. And there's also the never ending in basket with bright red numbers every day, notifications on Epic or whatever EHR you're using. So it's informing you have unread patient messages, you have labs, imaging results, medication refills you need to do, just so many things outside of patient care that is most likely in unprotected time that you have to do on your own time, whether you're sacrificing time between patients, after work, before work, or even at home. And don't forget about the work emails in general, just our general work emails. Oh, there's another email from work saying that there's another organization-wide meeting that's going to take place in the evening after you've seen patients from a grueling 10, 12-hour day. Well, there goes dinner time with your beautiful family. That's not going to happen. And now this career you've built, you dreamt of building, it feels like a cage, like this ball and chain that you're trapped with. And now you're either worried that you can easily lose it all because you've built something so great. And if you take too many days off for vacation, it's going to fall apart. Or you feel guilty blocking your schedule and not seeing patients. or your in basket will get too chaotic if you don't check it every day on a regular basis. And now you're just in survival mode. Now you're just trying to get by day to day. And when you're alone, you crash on the couch because fully dressed after work, because the moment you stop moving, the exhaustion just sinks in. It just sets into your body. Or you're snacking while standing up in the kitchen because sitting down to eat feels like a luxury to you. And dinner often become what you can quickly grab to go, and you think that something has to change. Something has to change, but you have no idea where to start. And just the thought of that alone is another burden on you, another thought, another thing you have to think about to put on your to do list. And you wish your life was as successful on the inside as it looks on the outside. And I totally get it. Feeling in survival mode is not the kind of life that I want to live for myself as well. Absolutely. And, there are a lot of things wrong in medicine. If you've been practicing in medicine, you know that there's a lot of things wrong in medicine. The prior authorizations, all the red tape we have to go through to get our patients on the medications that will actually help them and save their lives and give them a better quality of life. Referring patients to get them to see specialists that they need to see in a timely manner, because there's a national shortage of providers, of clinicians in the US, or actually in the world. These are all systemic problems in our medical system, and no one is going to solve that in the snap of a finger, unfortunately. And I get that. I absolutely get that. What I want to talk to you about is the emotion that you feel, of feeling caged, of feeling trapped every day. It is a blessing. It is a privilege to work in healthcare. Let's not dismiss that. It absolutely is a privilege what we do. But when you don't feel as successful on the inside as you appear on the outside, that's a real thing. That's a real thing we feel deep down. And it's like this constant irritation in our lives. It's like when you have a new piece of clothing and the label on the back is really irritating. It's not life or death. You're not going to die from it, but it's like this constant irritation, the label in your clothing, that you just can't stop thinking about. You can't stop worrying about. It's just so irritating and it frustrates you. Now, what if I told you that it is this very daily irritation that gives you the happy, successful life? What? Did you know that a pearl is created by irritation, by the process of being irritated? Did you know that? This is great for a little trivia night for you and your family if you're interested. So, I want to tell you how does an oyster create a pearl? It's through irritation. So, with an oyster, you have an oyster, a clamshell, or a mollusk. A little piece of sand or debris enters the oyster. This little irritant enters the oyster. Now, the oyster can't physically get rid of this irritant. It can't do that. The oyster doesn't have arms, legs. It can't move the irritant out. And so the oyster has a defense mechanism instead to prevent this irritation from causing an infection, bacteria, and to harm the oyster. And so the oyster will actually isolate the irritant by wrapping layers of a protein over the irritant. And it wraps thousands and thousands and continues wrapping layers and layers of protein around each coat around this irritant. And this process can last up to 4 years. Up to 4 years. And from wrapping layers of protein around and around this irritant, this debris, this piece of sand, it eventually becomes a beautiful, luminous pearl. Sometimes something beautiful can come from something painful. And if you're watching this video, I'm actually wearing my pearl earrings today just for this video. And when I was putting them on and looking at them, and I really thought about that several year long process of creating something beautiful from a little irritant, a little piece of irritation that was there for years, and wrapping and refining that little piece of irritant. How can something so beautiful and luminous come from something that was so dull and so irritating, like a piece of sand. So I want to tell you a story, and this happened recently. So I don't know if you all know this, but I deleted social media from my phone. This was like months ago, and I admit, like, to be honest with you all, I am incredibly fragile when it comes to social media, my phone, doom scrolling. When I have a free moment, I it's like an involuntary reflex. I grab my phone and I'm just tapping on a social media app and I'm doom scrolling. And it might be between when I'm at the line at the grocery store, at the mail, getting the mail at the post office. Maybe I'm even in between patients or a patient no showed and I have some time. Or, even when I'm with, ashamedly, I'm telling you, when I'm with my family. When I'm with my family and there's a free moment, no one's talking to me, no one needs me, no one's interacting with me, it's like an involuntary reflex. I grab my phone and I just start scrolling. And it's crazy how addicting these algorithms are. I mean, like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, they know what type of content that I resonate with. They know exactly what I like. And so when I open the app, all of a sudden I'm intrigued. I'm like, ooh, I want to see this and I want to see this. And let me look at this profile. And oh, let me look at more content like this. And let me look at comments. Like it's crazy how good these algorithms are. And that's another story. But that is so I made the hard decision to delete social media from my phone. I found it was taking up so much of my time. I was not present. I was becoming more anxious. I was always comparing myself to other people because I would always be remembering how other people, what they're doing, what they're looking like, how they look happy, successful, and then I would feel worse about myself, whether it's my physical appearance or my career or my family. Like nothing looks picture perfect in my life. And so I realized I needed to delete social media, all social media apps from my phone. And so I did that. It was a really hard decision. I did it one at a time because I couldn't do it all at once. It was really hard for me. So I do not have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I don't have any social media apps on my phone. Absolutely not. And so that's why I'm not active on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, thank you so much for your support. But you'll notice that I don't really post there. I don't really post because it's not on my phone. I don't have access to it. And, maybe that will change in the future, but at least for this current season, this is where I am. And I needed to step away from social media. And I admit, in the beginning, I was freaking irritated. It was so irritating. Everything just seemed to go by slower for me in the beginning. So, I I would whip out my phone when I'm in line at the grocery store and there's nothing to look at. I don't have any social media apps. I could check my email for like the bazillionth time, but I know there's no new email because I just checked it 5 seconds ago. I would look at my calendar, which I already know because I just looked at it 10 seconds ago. So eventually I stopped reaching for my phone because it was not, it was, I knew it wouldn't serve me. There was nothing to entertain myself with. And so I would stand in line at the grocery store and I would watch people and I would observe and I would say hi and smile and I would let my brain wander. Just kind of think about my day, reflect, look around myself, just listening to all the hustle and bustle around me. And, even at home, I sit with my son and he's playing with his little monster truck toys. And I would just sit there and it's so hard. It's so hard. It's so irritating. It feels like it's going by so slow. And I'm learning to feel the irritation and to be okay with feeling irritated. I think that's a new skill that I'm learning. And it was really put to the test recently. This was like maybe a couple weeks ago. So my 6-year-old son needed a haircut. He needs to get a haircut. And it was a Friday evening. I had just gotten off work for like seeing patients for like 10 hours. I was exhausted. I finished most of my notes. A few of my notes were not done because I wanted to think about it, sleep on it, go back to, remotely work from home and write it out and make sure I like had a clear mind to sign the note. And so I was rushing to pick up my son from his extracurricular activity. And we went to the hair salon before dinner time and it was crowded. It was a 45-minute wait at the hair salon. Oh my gosh. And I questioned, like, do we really need to get a haircut right now? How many I was surprised. How many people are getting a haircut on a Friday evening? Like, I thought people would be going to eat and like going out to, get ice cream or whatever, but they're getting haircuts at like 5 p.m. on a Friday. So there was waiting, women waiting. There was a family of five, all of them waiting. It was pretty crowded. And we like this place. My son really likes this place. So I didn't want to go somewhere else. And we really needed to get a haircut that night. We were busy the whole weekend. There was not going to be time for him to get a haircut. And the following week was his kindergarten promotion. And so we really wanted him to have a nice haircut for his kindergarten graduation. And so we really needed to get his haircut that Friday evening. And so I was like, I don't have a choice. So I wrote his name down on the clipboard and we sat down. He sat on my lap. He sat on the chair next to me on my right, sat on the chair next to me on my left. He looked over at the plants, walked over to them, touched the flowers, the leaves. We talked about his day in school, what he did, what he didn't do, what his favorite thing was. We talked about you know, oh, do you see that man getting his hair shampooed? He's laying, his head back. The lady is like nicely washing his hair. We we talked about who do you think is going to be next to get their hair cut. We pointed out the TV that was showing the World Cup soccer game. How many players? Oh, they just scored a goal. We looked out the window and there was a spider crawling outside the windowsill, and we looked at it, watched the spider crawl across with the cobwebs across the windowsill. And initially, it was really irritating. It was really irritating just sitting there, hands to my side with my son on my lap and thinking, this is going to be a long 45 minutes. But I didn't pull up my phone because I had practiced not reaching for my phone because it's useless. It doesn't entertain me. And I refused to pull up my phone and entertain my son. And so we just sat there. But after about 5 minutes, it no longer felt irritating. It no longer felt painful, irritating. It was actually kind of peaceful sitting together. And before I knew it, 45 minutes flew by and my son's name was called. And as I sat there watching him get his haircut, kind of telling the hairstylist what I wanted done, how short, what number shave on the sides, and I realized I had learned a new skill. I had expanded my tolerance for frustration. I had nurtured my tolerance for frustration. All those weeks, months of not having social media on my phone, not learning to not reach for my phone when I was bored, sad, hungry, depressed. It helped me build my tolerance for frustration. And that day, when my son got his haircut and he didn't see me whip out my phone right away and scroll and not be emotionally present with him, that was the culmination of all that hard work, the culmination of all that wrapping layers of protein around that irritant to create a pearl. And that day, my son got a haircut. That was a pearl. That was a pearl for us. Skills unlock new levels in life. Skills unlock new levels in life. I recently precepted with a family nurse practitioner resident at my work, shadowed me, and something she said to me, she said she is so amazed. She's working on paying off her student loans right now. It's like, six figures, you know how it is. And she said to me, I'm really amazed that there's a lot of physicians out there making so much money and they still live paycheck to paycheck. Isn't that amazing? They look so successful on the outside, but on the inside, the truth is they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're barely getting by. And their work feels like a cage. It feels like a ball and chain that they can't escape. They can't quit their job and do something else because they need to pay for their lifestyle. And they can't work more because they're already expanded to their full capacity. And there's only 24 hours in a day. You can't create more hours in a day to work more. New skills unlock new levels in life. What if this isn't the end of your learning? What if it's just the beginning? For me personally, I'm going to give you an example. So I'm reading a lot of finance books right now. Like I've got one here. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've got The Psychology of Money I'm reading right now. I've got a lot of finance books I'm reading. This is like the season of my life that I'm in right now. And I feel way over my head. Like I have no idea what I'm reading. It's like, it's an irritant to me. It's an irritant learning how to manage my money, my wealth, because I'm learning a new skill. I feel like a fish out of water. This is like me 10, 15 years ago when I was in RN and NP school learning and memorizing medications and diseases and anatomy. And I felt like I was in over my head. Well, now all of that seems natural. But now I'm learning a new skill about finances and I'm like way over my head. I have no idea what is going on. And so, but I know learning this new skill will unlock a new level of life, a new level in my reality for me. It'll expand my reality. And if you've listened to a YouTube video or a podcast episode by me before, you know that I truly believe that the most important skill anyone, any human being in the world can have is their communication skills. That is the hill I will die on, literally. Like, I truly believe this. This is the hill I will die on. The ability to speak, to write, to persuade, to negotiate, whether it's a patient, a colleague, your leadership team in your health organization and your work. It could be your spouse, your partner, your kids. That is the base skill for success. That is the most critical skill you can have in your life. If you have a stubborn, non compliant patient, who refuses to take a statin for their elevated cholesterol, every visit feels like a broken record. You feel dread. You feel like, oh, here we go again. They're going to just, fight back at me. They're not going to take this, but I got to keep advocating to take this medication. And that makes you feel dread. You feel anger. You feel frustration. You feel, why is this happening to me? Like, I know so much. Why aren't you listening to me? And seriously, there are so many smart people. I have physicians tell me, I've had physicians tell me personally that sometimes they feel like they can't articulate themselves well, or they have word finding issues. They can't find the right words, the right set of words to say, and they feel like an idiot. But they're geniuses. Like, I know some genius people who are incredibly intelligent. They're so knowledgeable in what they know in their specialty, but they cannot communicate effectively with other human beings. And guess what? That angry, frustrated version of you goes home to your family. And your kids ask, why is mommy so angry? It's her patients. They won't listen to her. And now your kids are walking on eggshells around you because they're afraid to talk to you because you look so angry. And poor communication skills, it really is detrimental to everyone's life because they create constant friction. They create unnecessary wasted energy worrying about misunderstandings, career stagnation, and even fractured relationships, both professional and your personal life. And communication is so much more than just using your mouth to speak words, to just verbalize words. It is so much more than that. Just like that day when my son got a haircut, and studies show that when a parent they're physically present with their child, but they're on their phone, the parent is on their phone scrolling, not looking at their child, not paying attention, those kids interpret that as their parent as emotionally not present. Emotionally not present. Their parents might as well not be there. There's no point for you physically being there if you're on your phone. And so that day, I was able to keep my phone away from my hand, from my eyes, from my presence for 45 minutes. And I was just able to sit with my son at the hair salon. And I was able to communicate with him that I am emotionally present. And we have a better relationship because of that. I guarantee you we do. That was a core memory that I know I have and he has for the rest of our lives. And so if this resonates with you and you're like, yes, Nicole, I want to know more about this. I want to know how to elevate my communication skills so I can have a better life, a happier life, then I invite you to join us. Click the link below and join our free weekly newsletter family, where I give you private reflections, real-time insight, and clear actionable ways that you can make your way of practice better. That last newsletter email, we talked about what to do if you feel overwhelmed at work. You feel like you're drowning. You feel like you're suffocating, you're drowning, you're like swimming against this river of misery. This week's email, we're talking about something that you can do in your practice that will actually give you more happiness, make you happier. And that is to be easily laughable. Not to be a joke, not to be like a comedian, but to be easily laughable, to easily laugh with people. And it's actually a really good communication trick. So We all knew that working as a nurse practitioner would be hard, but at the end of the day, we just want to feel like it matters. And so I highly invite you to click that link below, sign up. It's free. Join our weekly family email newsletter family. And uh, if you sign up, your first email from me, you might get a free gift. Feeling trapped, cage in your career, in your life, no one wants that. No one signed up to be a nurse practitioner thinking, I want to feel caged in my career. I want to feel trapped in my life. No one signed up to feel that way. When you feel trapped, all it means that it's time to level up a new skill. That's all it means. Your current life is a product of your current limitations. I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, then I highly recommend you watch our last episode, The Hidden Reason Healthcare Providers Feel Emotionally Exhausted. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next episode. And remember, I am always rooting for you.